First and foremost, I want to say thank you to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. If it wasn't for him, this would not be possible. Low Nose Boxing. Hit the like button, share the video, leave a comment, subscribe. It's been reported that Bob Arum and Eddie Hearn are currently in negotiations for a potential DAZN ESPN joint pay-per-view fight between Teofimo Lopez, the lineal junior welterweight champion, and Jaron Ennis, the IBF welterweight champion. Based on the reports, Bob Arum is willing to take care of Teofimo Lopez guarantee, and Eddie Hearn is willing to take care of Jaron Ennis guarantee pay. Now, with that being said, this is a very interesting fight. For me personally, I'm a boxing fan, I'm a content creator, and I'm not ashamed to say that I have favorite fighters. A lot of content creators are the first ones to jump up on this joint and say, oh, I'm not a fan. I don't got faith. Listen, man, we all fans at the end of the day. And as a fan of boxing in today's generation, both Teofimo Lopez and Jaron Ennis are two of my favorite current fighters today. I never thought I would be talking about a fight between Teo and Jaron Ennis, but it's very possible. You know, Jaron Ennis has been getting a lot of slack because he didn't take the Virgil Ortiz fight. And Teofimo Lopez is a fighter that has a lot of controversy behind him based on a lot of things that he says, the way that he carries himself at times. But despite all that, inside the ring, Teofimo Lopez is a phenomenal fighter. Jaron Ennis is a phenomenal fighter. Teofimo Lopez and Jaron Ennis are two of possibly the three most athletic, explosive fighters in boxing, along with Gervonta Tank Davis. At one point, if you were to ask me who would win this fight, I would say Jaron Ennis, because Jaron Ennis is the naturally bigger man. He's just as athletic as Teofimo Lopez, nearly as fast, stronger, harder puncher, more range. But now that Teofimo Lopez is working with Eddie Reynoso to tighten up his fundamentals, it's going to be very interesting to see how he's going to look from this point forward. Now, I don't like doing triangle theories. That's not my type of time. But Ennis has shown that he can get hit. Teofimo Lopez has shown he can get hit as well, right? But going into a fight like this, I would have to break it down. The intangibles. Based on athleticism, both guys are probably about even, I would say. Maybe Teofimo Lopez slightly because he's a little bit lighter than Jaron Ennis. In terms of speed, I would have to give the slight edge to Teofimo Lopez because he's a smaller man. As far as punching power, Jaron Ennis by far is the bigger puncher. He's a proven knockout artist at 147 pounds, with the exception of the two fights against the Bull Karen. And Teofimo Lopez has not displayed the same power at 140 as he had at 135 pounds. So is that power going to move up to 147? I don't know. So I got to give Jaron Ennis the edge in punching power. In terms of ring IQ, I would have to go with Teofimo Lopez based on the level of competition. In his biggest fights against Josh Taylor, Vasyl Lomachenko, and Richard Comey, Teofimo Lopez showed the ability to make adjustments, and he showed a sharp ring IQ. In terms of defense, this is interesting. Both Teofimo Lopez and Jaron Ennis are fighters that like to rely on head movement, athleticism to slip punches rather than catching. Even though both guys do catch and shoot, but they like to rely more on head and waist movement. But I have to give Teofimo Lopez the slight edge in defense because Teofimo Lopez has been in there with better competition. And even though we've seen Teofimo Lopez get touched up, right? We've never seen Teofimo Lopez get touched up with 3, 4, 5 punch combinations like Jaron Ennis. So I give Teofimo Lopez the edge in defense. Overall, this is a very intriguing fight. Jaron Ennis is definitely going to go into that fight as the favorite. And what Teofimo Lopez is doing right now, what Jaron Ennis is also doing right now, is facing off against a guy that's calling out Terrence Bud Crawford. we already know that Jaron Boots Ennis has been calling for that fight for quite some time, right? And Teofimo Lopez has recently started calling out Terrence Crawford as well. So if Jaron Boots Ennis can beat Teofimo Lopez, he may possibly get Terrence Bud Crawford to be like, you know what, maybe we can make that fight. And if Teofimo Lopez defeats Jaron Boots Ennis, he should get a Terrence Bud Crawford fight, because Jaron Boots Ennis is the one that was knocking on that door when Terrence Crawford was at 147 pounds, which brings me back to history. Felix Tito Trinidad, when he had that incredible run at 147, at 154, Trinidad was actually chasing a fight with Roy Jones Jr. at 168, when Roy Jones Jr. was #1 pound for pound, when he was Superman at the time, right? So Trinidad moved up to 160, beat William Joppy, and fought Bernard Hopkins. If Trinidad would have beaten Bernard Hopkins impressively, I'm sure he would have gotten that Roy Jones fight, but that did not happen. He lost to B-Hop. So right now, Tio is at a point where he's facing the last obstacle that can lead him to a potential Terrence Bud Crawford fight, but he cannot look past Jaron Boots Ennis, because this is a very, very dangerous fight. And this changes everything, because Terrence Crawford is also looking for a big fight with Canelo Alvarez. Being that Tio is willing to move up and challenge Jaron Ennis, in my opinion, Bud Crawford should be willing to take on somebody legit at 168, maybe like a David Morrell, David Benavidez winner, or somebody like that, in order to get a Canelo Alvarez fight, because Teofimo Lopez has set a new standard. This is greatness in boxing. Jaron Ennis should not get criticized for the Virgil Ortiz fight that did not materialize, because Teofimo Lopez is more accomplished than Virgil Ortiz, more skilled than Virgil Ortiz, a tougher puzzle to solve than Virgil Ortiz. And if Teofimo Lopez were to overcome the obstacle named Jaron Boots Ennis, in my opinion, Teofimo Lopez would deserve to be in the top 5 pound for pound. Nevertheless, it's going to be extremely interesting to see how this plays out, if this fight happens. And if it does happen on pay-per-view, will it do well? I feel like it will. You know, Jaron Ennis is a fighter who he's generating a lot of buzz. At the same token, for the first time in his career, he's generating a lot of hate as well. Teofimo Lopez has a lot of buzz. He also has a lot of hate. The controversial statements that he made regarding black people, black fighters, I would say. I don't think Teofimo Lopez is racist. In fact, I know he's not racist, but that was very, very questionable what he said, and controversial. And if Jaron Ennis were to defeat Teofimo Lopez, his fan base would increase, because it looks like a lot of the African American fan base that Jaron Boots Ennis has started to turn their back on him, right? But if he beats Teofimo Lopez, he's definitely going to have the support, because he's the only one right now that's stepping up to the plate that really wants to fight Tio, besides Richardson Hitchens. Anyway, with that being said, hit the like button, share the video, leave a comment, and subscribe. Low Nose Boxing, because Low Nose Boxing. I'm out.